Hello fellow collectors and welcome to Long's Toys. Have another Diaclone review for you. Today we are taking a look at the DA-40 Trivers Tridasher Special version. I really like the look of this guy, probably because he's mostly blue and blue is my favorite color, but I just think the robot mode looks really cool and I like the vehicle mode, and then it has a mech mode. The fun thing about Diaclone really is it can have as many different modes as you want. The instructions definitely show you a good handful of modes, and we'll take a look at all of those. But if you just want to get really creative and come up with your own, you can do that as well. So if we take a look on the back, it does have what it calls top machine and bottom machine, and that's just basically either using the torso or the legs. So it has, this is the flight mode, and then this is the vehicle mode for the top machine. It also has a bottom machine in two different configurations. It has the bullet core or the bollet core. This guy's been hanging out with Shooting Wolf. We have machine mode, and we also have a mech mode, and then of course we have the robot mode. So there's definitely a good number of modes you can make with this that are kind of official, that are in the instructions. But then again, you can also just make whatever you want. You can get other sets, mix and match the pieces and things like that. Now you'll also notice that even though the top and the bottom are two separate pieces, you only have one core, so you can only do one of these configurations at a time, but they sell packs of just extra cores. So if you have extra cores, you can do both at the same time, so different things like that. So they really do encourage you to kind of mix and match and buy more sets and just kind of come up with more crazy modes and things like that. So definitely a fun line in that regard. But I'm going to go ahead, we'll get this guy out of the box, and we'll take a closer look. So when you open the box, here's everything you get inside. You have the top machine, which is basically just the torso and arms. You have the bottom machine, which is the legs and I guess technically hip area. You have the bullet core, which has the robot head and also the cockpit for the pilot. You have these two really cool swords. They are identical, but nicely painted. They look really sharp. I like them a lot. Then you have a couple pieces that you're going to assemble into a gun. So these pieces will come, there will be two of these, two of this middle section, and then two of this piece on the back. And you just put them together to form these two guns. You also have these two pieces. It has a hinge here, and it has a hinge up here. And just be careful because a lot of these hinges are crazy tight. Also, you have this little like hook clip that you peg in. And then good luck moving it after you do. It's ridiculously tight. So that guy is in there and he's not moving. You have two of those. And then you get two extra clips. If you want to peg them in, there's various places you'll see on the sides and things of the legs and different places. We'll get to that as we go through the combinations. But basically with the clips, you can kind of peg the guns or the swords into them. You can see how the sword kind of has like a little section right here. You can either drop it in, or I like to just kind of go like this and then slide it in, because I don't want to break the clips. And again, they're pretty tight, but so it just gives you a couple places to peg these in wherever you kind of see like there's peg spots. You could peg this in if you wanted to have the sword peg in there for storage, things like that. So I'm not going to put these pegs over the robot body because I'm really just afraid I'm never going to be able to get them out again. So I'm just going to show you these and show you that they exist, and then I'm going to put them off to the side. But anyway, you have plenty of weapons, which I really like. So I'm going to put all that off to the side. We'll take a look at the two pilots really quick. Now, you get two pilots even though you only have one core. I'm not really sure why, but this one has kind of a human face painted on there. Pretty nice detail for how small they are. You have a kind of limited ball joint in the shoulder. You have 90-degree bend in the elbow. You have an ab crunch, as you can see. You have a ball joint in the hip, and then you have 90-degree bend in the knee. So very, very cool. Very tiny, very intricate. They also have magnets on their feet so that you can have them stick to metal, which is pretty cool. And that probably helps. I think some of the larger sets have magnets so that you can pose them around, because I'll tell you, you have a hard time making them stand on their own without the metal. Second guy, same articulation, obviously just a different paint scheme. He's got a helmet on, as you can see. But yeah, all the same articulation. And it looks like Maybe one is supposed to be male and one is supposed to be female, because they are kind of different proportions. She's a little bit generally slimmer. He's a little bit bulkier. So that's going to be my guess. I'm guessing that this one's supposed to be male and this one's supposed to be female. But we'll put them off to the side for the moment. So obviously the first configuration that we can do will take very little effort, and that is to just form the robot. So we're going to take this, and you can see that there's a connection right there and a big peg right there. So you just pop this in, and you should hear it snap. Then it'll rotate. When you want to take them apart, there's a little button right here that you just press down. So when you press that in, it will loosen it so that they can, there's a kind of section inside here that you can see retracts when you push that in. So pushing that in, there we go. So you're pretty much there. Now what we're going to do, we're going to take the core, we're going to flip the head back, and then we're going to open up the cockpit. And you can see it has kind of like a little guard or seatbelt type thing. So I'm going to grab one of these pilots. And you kind of have to, like, they don't just sit with their hips at like a 90-degree angle. They kind of have to put their knees into their chest a little bit. It's kind of a weird system, but go ahead and drop this inside. Actually, I guess she's a little bit smaller all in general. I'm going to show you with the red one just because it's a bit of a snugger fit. So it's both nice because it doesn't rattle around as much, but also it's a little bit more difficult to get him in there. So if we pop him in like so, then you want to put the little like seatbelt thing, harness, I guess, over the... This gets to be a little problematic because you kind of have to so you have to get these up, drop this in, come along now. There we go. Then put the arms down, then have this go down. Okay, there we go. Now he's in the cockpit. And now you're good to go. So now you're going to take this, and you can see it has these large pieces right here. You're going to kind of slide them into this guide right here and here. There's kind of like little notches. And then you're just going to drop that down, click it in, and there you go. We have the combined robot form. I think the robot mode looks fantastic. Basic, but really, really works. Articulation, you have the head on a ball joint. And if we take a closer look at that head sculpt, I think it looks pretty cool. Again, fairly basic, but a lot of nice paint. Nice and sharp. Looks very, very cool. You have a rotation in the shoulder, you have a hinge in the shoulder, bicep swivel, 90 degrees at the elbow, you have a wrist swivel, you have opening and closing hands. I believe that's all one piece for the fingers. You have a waist swivel, you have front kick, back kick, side kick, thigh swivel. You do have a 90-degree bend at the knee, but for some reason on mine, this one bends perfectly fine, and this one doesn't like to bend. Like, it'll do it, and for some of the transformations, I really have to kind of force it. I don't know if it's just, like, something's not assembled correctly, or it's just a little too tight. I really hope over time that doesn't give me trouble. We shall see. But you do have a 90-degree bend there. You also have a swivel as well, and then you have ankle tilt as well as front to back. So you really do have some nice articulation on this guy. Really very cool. Love the design, love the color scheme. Let's go ahead and deck him out with some of these weapons. So you have these connections here on the back. take these pieces I showed off earlier and kind of peg them in and then rotate them down. And it's pretty tight, but it gets looser over time, which is good. Then you can put these guns in. And then so it tells you to put the guns in like this, and then it tells you to rotate this hinge down, which I feel like is probably easier to do before you connect it. But then you can rotate that up to give him the shoulder guns. So, I apologize, but there you go. I'm probably not showing this off on camera well. Basically, you're going to bend the joint like that so that you can then rotate it up and give him these two shoulder cannons, which look pretty excellent. I do like the look of that. You can go ahead and give him the swords. I think the swords look really cool, and I love the way he looks holding them. It's a little difficult to slide them into the hand, but once you get it, he holds onto them very well. You don't even really need to open the hands because they kind of just perfectly slide in. There we go. So I love the look of the swords. I think they're really cool, especially with the shoulder cannons. So I think that's a really cool look. What you can also do if you want, take the gun out, take the sword, and then if you wanted to put the sword on the back like this, and if you wanted to turn this, you could. If you like the look of him having a sword over his shoulder, and then you could have him hold the gun. Although I would recommend taking this piece off the back if you're going to have him hold the gun, because it kind of gets in the way. There you go. So now you can have him with one sword, one gun. And then you can have the other gun up here on his shoulder if you want. So like I said, there's a certain amount of customization. There's different places you can plug those clips in if you just want the swords to hang off. Different things like that. You can also take these pieces here off the back. And it's kind of hard to unpeg them. There we go. Now these should have, if we swivel this around, you can see how it has a peg hole on that side. So I could bend this the other way and rotate this. And then you could peg this on the side of the leg here and have him store the weapon down there like that. Almost so like it's on his hip. Not quite, but it kind of works. So again, you have a lot of options. You can store these weapons various points over the body. And I just think the sword and gun combo is pretty classic. Looks really good. Alright, so another thing you can do, first we'll show off the bullet core mode. I'm going to go ahead and just take this back out, let him stand there for a moment. You're going to rotate the head back about halfway, and then you can actually pull this like silver part, push it out as far as you can, like that, and then the head will rotate all the way in and be concealed. And then you can take the two guns and peg them on the sides. So let me take it off of this piece here. Okay, and then this is the core mode. So if you just wanted to fly the core around, it's got some armaments here on the side. So that's pretty cool. I'm going to take these off, and then we'll go ahead and get into the machine mode. Put all that off to the side, and then we have the robot right here. So the first thing you're going to do is these wheels can spin all the way around, but you kind of have to spin them around until you find the hinge, and then you're going to open it up, and then you're going to rotate the fist inside, and then close it back up, and it can still spin. I think that's really cool. I don't know why. It's a simple thing, but it's just a cool little point of engineering to me that they can make it open up and still spin. I think that's really cool. So close that all up. You're going to come to the arms and kind of straighten them out. this is going to open up. You can see that there's a hinge right here. So you're going to do that, swivel this around at the bicep there, and you can see that there's a tab slot right there and then a kind of a tab there. So you're going to bring that up until that kind of pegs in and snaps, and then that's all straight. And then you're going to spin this around. This is going to come down like this. Do the same over here. Unpeg that, rotate that around, peg that in, bring this down. At this point you need to bring the core back in, pop this back on just like so. And then what you're going to do is you can see that there is a peg hole on the side and there's a big peg right here. So you have to make sure there's this super tiny little groove, or kind of a notch really. And this is going to come in and kind of hit that, and that's just like a natural stopping spot. So you know at what angle to have this, and then you just line this up and peg this in like so. So you just kind of make sure that you have this rotated around so that it hits that natural little stopping spot, and then you just peg this in. This one's not quite straight. Hold on. There we go. That's better. Okay. So now you should have that pegged in completely like that. Then you're going to take this whole section. You're going to want to flip this piece up on the back. And then you can see right here, this whole section is going to rotate like this. So this is going to basically become the whole front of the vehicle mode. Coming around to the back, you're going to flip the foot around like that. So you're going to bend it like this and then unhook it and flip that all the way around. Then you can see that there is another hinge right here. So you're going to flip that around like so. Do the same on the other leg like that. Now you're going to bend it up at the knee like so. Flip this around like this. And you can see that there's, and I have trouble with these, but you can see that there is a tiny little notch right here. That is supposed to peg into that little spot right there. And I can't always get it to stay, but you'll see it. Actually, it's not supposed to do it quite yet, but it's going to be interesting. So at this point, we have to spin this around. And this is where that's going to come into play. So this notch right there is going to peg into that right there. At the same time, this right here is going to peg in right there. So it's a little difficult, and you might want to get this up. Let me zoom out here so you can see. You might want to get this up out of the way. And also this is going to peg in right there. So it's kind of a lot of things that need to line up. But that pegs in there, that goes in there, and then that should drop in to there. So you want to go ahead and repeat that on the other side. Swivel this around. That's got to peg in there, there, and where is it? There we go. And like I said, for whatever reason, this one on mine doesn't like to bend at the knee. Push that back down and then make sure that these are pegged in because they probably came unpegged. So there is the machine mode fully transformed. You can go ahead and add some accessories. You could put the gun in here if you would like. If you want to do like this, where we flip these up. All right. And then have the gun clip into this. If you want some more height to it or something like that. So you have some options. but you can peg the guns in however you'd like on the back of the vehicle mode there like that. Alright, the next configuration we're going to show off is the top machine. Rolls pretty well. We're going to disconnect this from there and from there. I swear we are. There we go. Then you're going to lift this up, and then you're going to press that button I talked about earlier and just split these completely in half. So then you're going to want to put this back together. If this came undone. This knee really doesn't want to bend on mine. Well, whatever. I'll deal with that later. So here, put this back down, and this is pretty much the top machine. This is the top machine vehicle mode. It's literally just the front half of that. Nothing really changes. You can still put the guns and everything in. Not that big a deal. If you want to take a look at the top machine flight mode, you're going to unpeg these. Peg that back in, unpeg that from there, flip this around like so, and then flip these around, and I think you put these like that. Unpeg this, unpeg that, flip this around like so. And that's pretty much the flight mode. That's really all there is to it. Let me just double check the directions here, but yeah, again, you can put guns on the top if you want to give it some accessories, but that's pretty much the flight mode. I mean, I see what they're going for. It's not that amazing, but again, you can put some guns on here if you'd like. So that's the flight mode, but yeah, it's okay. I like the top machine vehicle mode because it's really just the front half of the full-on vehicle mode. But I feel like this isn't really that great. It's just kind of the torso with the arms out to the side. Alright, so coming back now to the bottom machine, which is the section that we pulled off of the front. Leave it exactly as it is. We're going to come back over here to the top machine, remove these weapons, take the core out. There we go. And then you can see that there's a little connector right here, and we're just going to peg it in right there. And make sure I'm not pushing that in. There you go. There is the bottom machine. And once again, they tell you to put the guns on the top. I love how their solution to all these forms that don't really look that impressive. They're like, yeah, but did you put the guns on top? Because look how much better it looks now. And to be fair, it does. It looks better with the guns on top. But here is the bottom machine configuration A. And then for configuration B, you're going to take this off, unpeg the core, you're going to unhook these, you're going to rotate this torso, or I guess the hip section. Yeah, I guess it's really the hips. Closest thing we have to a torso right now. Rotate that up, and then kind of peg this back in. This keeps coming unpegged. It's really annoying. Yours will probably stay together better than mine. So anyway, put it like that, and then you can peg this on the top. There we go. And then I think we put the guns on top, I would assume. Yeah, okay, you got to put the guns on. So you're going to peg them into the side of this. And then this is the bottom machine configuration B. And that's kind of cool. It's kind of like a little rover. Kind of neat. Not too bad. Alright, and then finally for the mech mode, you're going to take the guns off, take the core off, but you're going to leave the rest of this exactly as it is, unless yours is like mine and keeps coming unpegged. If it really comes unpegged, it's not that big a deal. It's not like the form won't still work, but we're going to bring the torso back in. We're going to swivel this piece down like so, and then you can push this down. And then we're going to swivel these around like this. So swivel that around, but you want these to be connected like this. You're going to drop this back on in here. There we go. And then you're going to drop the core back on And there is the Mech Mode. It's kind of cool. Kind of reminds me of like the gun tank from Gundam. You can take these pieces. Let me go ahead and remember how we did this. I think this goes like this. So like this configuration, then you drop the gun in, and then you can peg this on the back. So you can give it overhead guns. Just replicate the process here. I'll do it over here. I want it like this, right? Man, this thing is really tight. I did this backwards, didn't I? Yeah, because it's supposed to go like this. There we go. And then peg this in back here. There you go. So there's the fully assembled Mech Mode. Now that definitely reminds me of the gun tank from Gundam, the original Mobile Suit Gundam. But I like the original gun tank, so I'm happy with that. I think besides the robot mode, the Mech Mode, I don't know, the Mech Mode and the full-on vehicle mode are definitely my two favorites. I think they're pretty excellent. The different configurations for Top Machine and Bottom Machine aren't bad, but I definitely think this and the full-on vehicle mode are my two favorites, besides the robot, of course. I think this guy's great. Really cool robot mode. Color scheme's fantastic. Yes, it's blue is my favorite color, so I'm a little biased, but I just think the colors really work. You have that darker blue with the black and the gunmetal gray, and then you have a little bit of red as well for accent color. Really, really sharp. Head sculpt looks great. Articulation's fantastic. Accessories are great. Plus, you have a bunch of other really solid modes. I think at the end of the day, the three core modes are the robot, the vehicle, and the Mech Mode, and they're all great. You also have the other configurations for Top Machine and Bottom Machine, which are okay. They're not amazing, but it does give more playability to the toy and gives you a couple other options. And the other thing is, the more of these sets that you buy, the more cores you get, the more other pieces you get. You can mix and match. There's this whole section in the little booklet that comes with it where it shows you to mix and match and make more configurations with another set that they sell. So it's just one of those things, like the more you buy, the more you'll get out of it. But even if you were to just buy this, I think there's a ton of playability packed into just this set. You don't need to buy more to get the full playability. It just gets you more playability the more that you buy. And I think that's kind of fun. I like when they have these toy lines that are kind of meta like that, where I don't like when you have to feel like you have to buy them all to get the enjoyment out of it. Like if you would buy just this one, there's plenty here. You just get added enjoyment the more that you buy. I don't like when they do it where you can buy one, but you really can't use it on its own. It's kind of boring. You have to buy others. That's not a good play pattern. Just increasing the value the more you buy is a good play pattern. These are a lot of fun. They're definitely expensive. I can't turn a blind eye to that. They're definitely expensive, but I feel like the ingenuity that you get, you know, the quality I think is definitely there. There's a lot to be said for this. While it's not cheap, it's definitely, I think, worth the investment, if that makes sense. Because you're getting a really high quality toy, very detailed, very articulated. Paint applications are superb. They definitely don't skimp out in that regard. So it's definitely a really nice figure. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. I want to hear from you guys. Let me know if you want to see more Diaclone stuff, or if it's not really doing it for you. Definitely tell me in the comments below. Please like, share, and subscribe. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. And as always, thanks so much for watching.